Hello and welcome to You Asked For It. I'm Philippa Davis, writer and teacher, and I'm responding here to questions you lovely students have asked me on my writing course. So the question I'm tackling today is from Denise, who asked, how do you investigate subjects when you find yourself inexperienced in the topic? How do you research a news story? What kind of resources can you use? So here's a very short, quick video around the particular approach I find helpful. So we're going to go through key questions about your subject, a standard journalism approach. And we're going to start with why you've chosen your subject. What's your point of view about it? So I'm going to choose a subject that I know nothing at all about, airports. And what I'm going to choose as my point of view is that I'm investigating how safe is it for me to fly after coronavirus. And I could be flying for pleasure or I could be flying for business. But I'm researching the subject as somebody who is not an expert on airports at all or aviation, just an ordinary person. So that's the first thing to establish. What's your point of view going to be? And you'll save yourself a lot of time if you do this hard thinking first. Next, I'm going to ask myself, who knows about this subject? Now, off the top of my head, I've got a couple of friends who are involved in aviation or were involved in aviation. I've got somebody who worked as cabin crew as a friend and a relative of a friend who was a pilot. So I might be able to chat to them a little bit about it. I could go on Twitter and look for aviation journalists and aviation specialists. And if I wanted to find out more about a person, I could use this specific way of searching in Google. I would just Google these terms in the search bar. I might want to use a tool like Hunter.io, which can help find people's email addresses. Next, I want to do a general trawl of what resources are available on aviation. And for that, again, I will do a particular type of Google search. So I'll use the word resources in the Google search bar. I'll also look on Google Scholar to see if there are academic papers written about airports and aviation. I might look up aviation magazines. And I would also always check in popular culture, well-known films about aeroplanes, well-known books about aeroplanes, because they're really good for highlighting people's fears and fantasies about flying and going to airports. Even though you may be writing quite a serious piece, it's still good to be reminded of what concerns and entertains people most about airports. Next, this can be quite a tough one in terms of research. I'm going to answer the question, how does airport safety work? So I would try and establish who would be responsible for keeping an airport virus free at different stages of being in the airport. It could be that once you get on the plane, a different person, the carrier, is responsible for keeping you as safe as possible, whereas when you're in the waiting area, then the owner of the airport is responsible. So I would just try and track a journey as to who's responsible for keeping me safe at different points. And then, finally, I'd answer the question, where am I going to set this piece of writing and what's the time scale going to be? So I need to decide, am I going to look at global airports? Am I going to look at airports in a particular country, perhaps Europe, a region? Or am I going to look at a very small local airport to me, perhaps go and visit it and do some on-the-ground research there, depending on where I can see myself placing this writing. And when would dictate the time frame? Am I going to put any history in about airport safety? Perhaps look at what happened during SARS or Ebola as regards airports? Am I going to make it very current and now? Am I going to look for predictions people have made about the future? What is going to be the time frame of my consideration of this subject? So I hope that helps. That's why, choose a subject, who knows about it, what resources are available, how does it work, and where and when. Once you've got the answers to all these questions, you should be in a good place to shape whatever it is you want to write about your subject. So thanks for listening. If you've got something you'd like me to investigate, then just send me a question on the Udemy course page, and see you soon. Keep writing.